This episode shows art and architecture of Kashmir during Islamic period. It is in continuation of my earlier episode on Surya Temple of 7th century in Kashmir. Hope you liked it. The valley has a long history. Here is the passive water of Jhelum winding their ways through the heart of the valley. High Himalayan ranges has encircled the valley and protected it from foreign aggressions. Here is a small temple dedicated to Shiva of 13th century shows the decaying face of Hindu art in Kashmir. It was in 1339 Kashmir was taken over by Shah and gradually Islam became the dominant religion in valley. Though Islam came on the conquering wave, it has its influence on the culture and the life of the people who got its hope in it. This underlying unity has been the basic and motivating factor of Kashmir's social and cultural part. The Muslims in the beginning were far too few to initiate architecture of their own. This is the dome of 15th century built during the Florence reign of Zain ul Abidin, generally called the Akbar of Kashmir. Zain ul Abidin was a patron of art and industries and is said to have occasionally made pilgrimages to Hindu shrines. Here is the mosque of early 15th century in the typical wooden style called the Mosque of Shah Hamdan. Here is the Jama Masjid of the same period but reconstructed at various stages. Here is the shrine of Nakshband Sahib, a famous khanka situated in the beautiful city of Srinagar established during 17th century. The most attractive feature of this shrine is its architecture, which is inspired by Himachali style of construction.
On the way to Pahalgam, there is a shrine of 17th century. The shrine of Chare Sharif, built in memory of a saint in the typical wooden style, lies about 24 kilometers from Srinagar. It attracts thousands of people who flock to the site to offer their prayers. Images of 5-decade-old are witness to its chief structural peculiarity that most parts were built by wooden blocks. Some of the doors and windows were beautiful examples of wood carving. Carved minarets proclaimed oneness of the God. The wooden brackets were the excellent piece of workmanship. The floral and geometrical patterns were exclusively beautiful. The painted wall surfaces were also of glazed work.
Mughal dynasty dominated the country during the 16th and 17th century and saw complete weather change in Kashmir from the heat and dust of the plains. They laid out large and magnificent gardens from the sloping hills which could be readily adopted into terraces. The constant water supplies from spring and the largest streams were available for the purpose. The landscape was superb. Here is Verinag built during the reign of Jahangir. Kashmir is renowned for its green beauties, amongst which is the famous garden of Achabal, Chashma Shahi, Nishat, Shalimar, Nasim, and Nagin. With the roll of spring, the gardens put on the thick mantle of green vegetation, filling the air with perfume and breeze, with tiny little stems of plants. Here is Shalimar. Most of the images are 5 decades old and hope you will like them. The garden was born out of Emperor's love for his beloved. Shalimar is Jahangir's word of love, then the freshness in the fragrance, surrounded by fountains and running chisel water. The garden represents the grand appearance. Chashma Shahi or Royal Spring is Shah Jahan's creation. It commands from its lofty heights a panoramic view of Dal Lake with the enchanting view all around. Nishat is the garden of happiness and biggest noble garden in Kashmir. It is a terraced garden conceived and laid out by Asif Khan, Shah Jahan's father-in-law. A canal passes through the center of the garden, its water falling in swift but gentle form from one terrace to another. The square tanks studded with fountain sprays, artistically laid out flower beds with planned lines of running cascades and colorful fountains and green velvet blooms blend the unique chant of the garden. Kashmir has been the meeting point of various cultures, affecting the artistic tradition carried on from generation to generations. And also time slows on and the city of Srinagar still animates with aspirations and ideals cherished by founder Ashoka the Great. Kashmir greets snowfall with facilitation. Even the chicks seem to enjoy this. With the dawn of spring, wherever the eye wanders, there is greenery and blossom. Nature will ever smile on Kashmir, whose charm and beauty will remain untouched by the ages of time. The apples and cherries invite people from plains to escape the heat and dust. Thousands flock to live in lakes with crystal blue water. Such is Kashmir with its beautiful gardens, rich flowers, carpeted valleys, its hills and glowing meadows, which combine to make this land, in the words of Mughal Emperor Jahangir, truly the paradise on earth.